Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this beast woman that we've got here this evening has been known to be a regular for the features for upwards of 15 years. She's a phenomenal reader, a phenomenal writer, and I want everybody please to give it up for a great feature this evening, Jackie Wolk. Jackie, get out there!
All right. Sadly, I just I came from a funeral on my way here, and I'm thinking like, how am I gonna? They don't prepare. You know how all these, most of the people here are men, so you wouldn't know this, but all these go from daytime to evening wear, like these little ensembles will have in women's fashion magazines. Mostly like the mid to lower end ones, kind of like not the Kmart, more the Kohl's, and not tell you, wear this with a spunky little jacket and these flats that fold up into, you fold up into like a Tootsie Roll container and put it in your bag. Try this. I'm just like, anyway. And then of course, I didn't know, like, half my stuff is just, it's all like, but you'll see, it's like gallows humor and shit, and I'm like, oh God, I don't know if it's really, am I really going to be up for this, up for reading, but I don't have a lot of, puppy kitten material.
Oh, no puppy kitten.
I have some stuff on squirrels, and I am going to read that. So anyway, before I start my first poem, I got this in the mail. It's a week till the mayoral election, and I'm glad that I'm here because I've been spending the past couple of weeks talking with individuals that I don't know very well, and like everything is thinly veiled, but it's like really thinly veiled. Like the front runner, you see, I just heard what this individual has had to say about the public schools, and I know that they really want to privatize, and they're taking a lot of special interests money, and it's like everybody knows I'm talking about ROM and all this other stuff, and meanwhile, if like one of the folk, I'm like, God, it's such a fucking whore, I hate it. And, just the whole public, I can like there's a lot that we can all be pissed off about in Chicago. There's a lot of great things about this city too. Don't get me wrong. I think that pretty much the unifying factor is the whole parking meter thing. So whoever gets elected, if they do something about the parking meter situation, they're going to be a fucking hero to everyone. That being said, I have a kid in the public school system, so I decided to make that like my number one thing. And I'm like, in December, I'm like, I want to watch the school teachers, and I'm going to see who they're voting for, and I'm going to check out that candidate. So I have been, I'm not using this microphone as, I'm not going to
swear.
No, not yeah, but, well, I mean, I'm not going to tell anybody who to vote for or anything. I'm just saying that instead of complaining about the public school, I decided I would back a candidate who really seems to not be the one that's going to send them to a very, very dark place. And I mean, as far as like a place of no return. And I've been making calls and stuff for the Del Valle campaign. My husband's like, I'm really sorry, but like, your guy's probably not going to win. And I said, yeah, but I want to just know I'm doing something other than complaining about problem. And in all that, I've kind of been like, oh yeah, the alderman thing. And I got this in the mail from Brian Lynch, and I don't know this guy from Adam, but I don't really, the whole fraternal order of police endorsement, it just is like, what's that supposed to mean to me? But this is the best part, and I wish that this was bigger. they might even pass this around. Alderman Scott Wagnespack would like you to meet your new neighbors. And there's these 4 mugshots. They're really great. It's like, I don't know who these individuals are, if they had to sign any waivers to get on. I hope they sue his ass, Brian. By the way, I already early voted. Anyhow, so I'm looking at this, I'm just partying on this, like, oh, these are my new neighbors? Cool. It looks like they're raising the standards a lot in my neighborhood. See, this guy would make me vote for him. Like, maybe I'll get to live next door to the one that, like, the fat Elvis. They're going to be my new neighbors. Wow, I'm glad I'm psyched all my friends are going to be moving into the neighborhood. So oh, look, there's one with the one with like the 3 teeth. Is it hot in here or is it just me? I don't really see this as, I'm like, whatever. I think if I actually owned property, I'd be a little more concerned about the aldermanic dealio, but I don't, if anybody wants to craves to see these pretty faces.
Hey, I don't know if this would even work. Can I do this? No, look at the happy man. Yes, we'll pass it around. Pass it around for the group. You get to look at that, pass them on. Yeah.
Anyway, that brings me to my first piece. It is called 20 Ways That You Know That You're From Chicago. 1. You consider sausage a food group and Diet Coke health food. 2. Wacker is such a great street name that you see no problem with having north, south, east, west, and lower drives named after it. 3. You don't care how many Super Bowls the Packers win, they still suck. You can't park your SUV anywhere now on the north side nowadays. What's wrong with Jerry Springer doing the news? 6. You find the SNL Superfan skit complimentary. 7. You'll vote for any daily, any time, for any office. If your name isn't Bob or Barb, it's because an older sibling got it first. 9. Your favorite newspaper is the Tribune because it has both kinds of news, sports and weather.
There you go.
10. You think a liberal is someone who can read. 11. You recognize all religions equally. Roman, Greek Orthodox, and regular Catholic. 12. A mustache is a rite of passage. 13. You're not a cop, but you think they're cool. You're pretty sure that Mike Ditka was in a mayoral election at some point. And if he wasn't, you'd write him in. 15, you need to walk your dog when you get home from the bar. 16, you can quote the Blues Brothers movie verbatim. I mean, that's a bad thing. 17, you can't imagine attending a funeral without going to an all-you-can-eat restaurant afterward. 18, your father has run for alderman at least one time. 19, you evoke childhood nostalgia by putting a sock on your hand and pretending it's a goose. That was a bit of a stretch. 20, your family lives on the south side, so you warn your kids to never go on the north side because it's dangerous, and vice versa. Gentrification haiku. You know what else I need to bring? Because I'm not from Chicago. I was here for about a little over 20 years, and I just really love this city. And I have I was raised outside of Philadelphia, and I have a shit list for Philly too. So at some point they changed their name to, or not their name, their the City of Brotherly Love, and the tourist board there had was going with Philadelphia, the city that loves you back. And when I first heard that, I was like, they're just leaving themselves wide open. I made up my own slogans. I don't have them with me, sadly. It was along the lines of Philadelphia, the city that loves you from behind. Philadelphia, the Liberty Bell's not the only crack in town. There's something in the infamous move incident where Mayor Good, 25 years ago, had dropped a 30 years ago, had dropped a bomb on an entire city block. And that's, I was 1985, I remember sitting in the library at school, like we were watching, I'm like, that's fucked up right there. That's really, of course I go home and I get my politics through my parents. My mom's all like, you don't know what it was like for those people, and you didn't have a choice, and I'm like, oh, okay. Like that, and you tell me, like, Reagan's a good president. Okay. Gentrification haiku. Brand new Lexus parked outside rehab section 8. My key scraped side door. The Polish deli lost license and zoning change. Starbucks moves in soon. Daily won't mandate low rent units in high-rise. Now free shelters. Oh. And just for shins and grits, I'll read my porn haiku. Lighten it over here. Pizza man at door. My husband isn't here right now. I'll give you a slice. No panties at work. I bend down for boss's pen. He gives me bonus. Oh, pool boy, why did you leave your hose in the van while I'm so dirty? Here's a new one. Oh, I think I read this in its first incarnation in a Halloween reading. This one is called Stupid Ghost. When I was alive and the question of, what do you think happens after we die, arose, in conversation, I would think to myself before seeing anything, turning the answers around in my brain, which at the time was fully intact, it just maybe not firing on all of its synapses correctly. I mean, it's not like outside of a Ouija board, any of us has ever, come back to tell the living what it's like. So this is what I got. 1, hell. Nah, I was Jewish and we weren't supposed to believe in it, although I can kind of see what a lot of good beliefs did for my corpse when it was alive. Apparently Jews weren't supposed to get tattoos either. A fun fact that would have been nice to know before I got I Heart Jake Gyllenhaal inked on my ass. Then maybe I wouldn't be stuck in this crappy pauper's grave. Instead, I'd be allowed to lie in Montefiore Cemetery next to my beloved Bubby and Zadie. Although, on second thought, I was never real crazy about seeing my family when we were all alive. So if I can't handle Thanksgiving, what makes me think spending all of eternity with them would be a good thing? Huh. Maybe I'm not so bad off rotting in this ditch outside Calumet City after all. 2, reincarnation. If my luck when I was alive was any indication of what it was going to be like for me in the afterlife, and not surprisingly it has been, I'd come back as a mealworm. I'd come back as a clinically depressed lion in a roadside zoo. The worst of all, the most lowly creature God hath created to roam the earth, a performance poet. 3, the undead. See, being a zombie sounds much better in theory than it actually is in practice. Believe me, I I've met my fair share of zombies lately, and them I don't envy. Zombies are all really fucking cold in January, and as it turns out, the living aren't all that scared of them because it's not that difficult to outrun something with a shambling speed of 3 miles an hour. Or really, really dead. It turns out that just like when you're alive, how good or bad you act toward others has little bearing upon the circumstances with which one is presented in the afterlife. Even on this side of the dirt, it's all pretty much the same bureaucratic bullshit. I spend a lot of time standing behind idiots who haven't figured out yet that a checkout line is not rocket science. For as many customer service reps as I call to get something around here resolved, I get a proportionate amount of different answers, and don't you think for a minute that if you die with less money and fewer connections than your peers, that death is going to make like all things equal. Whoever said you can't take it with you is full of shit, because obviously they have never been a ticket holder in the housing lottery of the afterlife, okay? Oh, wait, there is one thing that's like what they told me it would be, the whole walk towards the light business. Now that's largely true. Only it would have been nice if those at my bedside urged me to step away from it rather than enthusiastically cheering me on to head towards it. Well, the joke is on them. I ain't left them anything of value behind. Just a lot of clutter and an unpaid Visa bill. Oh, and after they find what I've left in my nightstand drawer, I shall look down upon them and truly have the last laugh. I'm still somewhat politicky headspace here. Read this. It's a poem I wrote about my late father-in-law. It was really awesome. He had one thing that he got to do, we were all really happy about, was 3 weeks, rather, he was elected to be the legislator for his district or whatever in the state of Maine, the Democratic representative. And he unfortunately only got to serve 3 weeks of that term before he passed away. Then they had their summer break, and anyway. My mother-in-law had a couple of elections. She got elected to the seat and she got re-elected. And unfortunately did not get re-elected. She lost to a Republican, as did have a whole lot of other people, but my point being that we were all like really glad that he got a chance to do that. True story, one of the only Democrat I ever met who was a card-carrying member of the National Rifle Association. So, yes. He liked to hunt things and eat them. I don't think there was any single thing I can't think of any single part of the animal that ever went to waste. When it was done. Have you had the moose jerky? It's really good. It's like one of those things I would sit there and eat and think, why was I ever a vegetarian? Okay. He likes to set his have-a-heart trap under the bird feeder to keep the red squirrels from eating the seeds. Takes the squirrels when the trap catches them, spray paints their tails orange and sets them loose in the Walmart parking lot. Waiting to hear in the Kennebec Journal about the new strain of squirrels that was discovered by a stock boy. Actually, he doesn't catch squirrels all the time. The rest are other animals. Vermin, raccoons, possum, pet cat, and the occasional skunk, the latter of which he set loose on the local Republican's lawn. Maybe at some point I'm going to write like a whole series, but I already have some poems. I'm going to write like a whole series of poems called Stupid Animals. Like, I like animals, but it's funny sometimes. Fat bastard swaggers up to me as I eat my falafel, his eyes sparkling, toilet brush bristle tail in the air. Boo! I lunge at it. Doesn't even flinch. I hiss as loudly as I can without me making people stare at me like I'm the local kook who stands outside of the bookstore hawking anti-circumcision flyers in the 102-degree weather. Go away! He merely sits up on his hind legs, furry guts slopping over into his lap, pumps at the air with his front paws. This is my sandwich, I tell him. Undaunted, he scrabbles towards me as fast as something with a ground speed of 6 blocks an hour can move. Don't you even think about it, I snarl, in the same way that my uptight dad does when my hairy, friendly cat tries to jump in his crisply ironed lap. And just as the squirrel is about to put his chubby little claw on my shoe, I jump out of the way and say, "Nuts to you!"
Probably do one or two more minutes.
One or two more.
Sure.
All right. Get some fun ones here. Somewhere. It's called Somewhere. Somewhere a sky is falling. Somewhere a chicken is presented with a brood of cygnets and has no clue what to do with them. Somewhere, a cartoon disappoints a bullied schoolboy as an epilepsy trigger. Somewhere, a housewife declares Cheese Whiz to be health food. Somewhere, a pregnant woman pops a forbidden piece of yellowtail sushi in her mouth when nobody's looking. Somewhere, the poem is ending. Somewhere, a woman swears it happens to a lot of guys but doesn't really mean it. Somewhere a man wonders if his date knows that it happens to a lot of guys because she sleeps around. Somewhere a writer is dying inside, but it's actually only heartburn. The last one here. Spaceman Blues. Like, it's so weird because I know that we need all this money like here on Earth, except that it really seriously bums me out that, like, you know, the prospect of us not having a space program. So I don't know. I have very mixed feelings about it. I'm like,
without NASA, we wouldn't have things like string cheese.
Oh,
or,
yeah.
You know, I'm trying to think of all the practical applications.
well, it's that, but it's also like
Tang.
Tang!
Tang.
Don't forget Tang!
I will get to that. But it's also like, oh man, you can just like maybe send a fewer troops to Iraq or whatever. Like, you know, just take that money and put it in, you know, rocket ships, imagination, fun.
Yeah, made space.
Yeah, well, they started it. They had weapons of mass destruction. Preemptive. You know, there was some outer space, man. Obama would be totally partial. He'd be cool with it. Spaceman Blues. So what if they put you in a rocket and shot you into space once? The mayonnaise jar lid still sticks when you try to open it. The headlines at the time were great, but your father made the papers too, you know. He died of a stroke while you were up there, and your wife was stuck writing the obituary. The moon rocks you brought home for the kids now lay silent in their respective places, one on top of the PlayStation 2, last year's Christmas trophy gift, one under the canopy bed's dust ruffle, the other at the bottom of the toy chest. Since you've gotten back, you like to mix a little vodka in your glass of Tang after they for school. Your wife thinks the reason why she can't get pregnant again is early onset menopause. You haven't had the heart to tell her it's because all them moon rings left you shooting blanks for a prostate the size of a clementine orange. Your take on the movie Space Cowboys was that it was more cowboy than space. Thing is, you actually liked it better that way. Try as you might to generate interest in your spiel at your 6th grade daughter's career day, the children paid more attention to the local Dunkin' Donuts franchise owner because he brought free samples. You hate that place anyway. They never give you the correct change. They don't even know your name when you go in to buy coffee. Thank you, Janet. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Oh, you know what? I don't think that was loud enough. Give it up one more time.
Tuesday's usually my husband's night out, so I gotta, I'm home with the kiddo.
Bring all the kiddies along.
Well, I'm not, no.
No, you're like, no, I wouldn't do it.
This is mommy time.
Well, we would call a dollar.
No, I would love to. I'd love to be one of these parents that sort of drag their kids along, art openings and lets them fall asleep on the tote bed at parties, and I'm just like, nah. I mean, it's probably, I suspect it's better for her, but I'm like, no, this is
mommy time.
This
is mommy time. Well, and this was our time too, and thank you so much for that. Yes. Awesome. Thank you again. Thank you.